And it's great to have Congressman Walter Jones, your 3rd District Congressman in the United States House of Representatives, live in the studio. Good morning, Congressman.
Well, Henry, thank you. It's a pleasure to be on your show, and I'm sorry that Phil Knight has retired, and I hope you can get him back on the show.
He texted me this morning and wanted me to give you his best, but
well, please don't read it.
Did you ever?
Please don't read it.
Did you ever go in and do Phil Knight's show live?
No, he never asked me.
He didn't.
Well, I think maybe after I came out against the Iraq War, and I didn't think the timing was right.
Well, Phil may come. I'm working on him to come back. I'm trying to get him to come. He says he might come back and do a couple of days for an hour, so we'll see. Well, right now the good folks on WNBU are having to listen to me, and it's too much.
Well, you've got
a
lot of friends in that area.
Well, it's a lot of fun. I love New Bern, Morehead City, Jacksonville, and but Phil did a great job for many years.
Did. Yeah, no question about it.
I'm having to look for the TV. I'm having to look over the stack here. For those of you who do not have cable 7 television, McGee, did you put this online? You can go to our Facebook page right now, 103.7 WTIB on Facebook, and see this stack of papers, 1,600 papers, and the congressman's put a Christmas ribbon on it.
Well, I thought
this is the Cromnibus bill that you had to vote on last week.
Absolutely, and Henry, you know what's so ironic? Our leadership, and I was in agreement, complained about the Affordable Care Act. And how Ms. Pelosi said, well, you got to pass it and then read it. Well, this is another example of leadership that misleads the members of the House, because we got this bill approximately 24 hours, not quite a 24 hours, 1,603 pages. And the night that we voted, supposedly they added another 117 pages to the 1,603 pages. So that's roughly 1,600 pages, and it's just, this is so wrong for the American people to have their members of Congress that they trust to go up there and make tough decisions and the right decisions, to have a bill this size that members did not have at least 72 hours to read it, because you cannot, I don't care how fast a reader you are and how much you retain when you read, you just can't read 1,603 pages. It takes you days, because when you read these bills, make reference to existing law, so you almost have to look at existing law to see how it fits into it. And I will be honest with you, I listened to Mark Levine the other night, and I'm going to read this very quickly. We researched this,
and we have Mark Levin on both 103.7 and 94.1 every night.
Right. Well, I listen to him frequently,
and he's no Boehner fan.
Oh
either.
no, he said he should resign right now. The night I heard him, and I wish he would. This CPAC, one of my first orders of business would be to post every bill online for at least 72 hours before it comes to the floor of the House for a vote.
He said that in 2010.
Right, and then you got another quote by Mr. Boehner. America should have 3 days to read all bills before Congress votes on them. CNS News, October the 30th of 2010. January the 5th, Mr. Boehner also said this: today, mindful of the lessons of the past, we open a new chapter. Legislators and the public will have 3 days to read a bill before it comes to a vote. Legislation will be more focused, properly scrutinized, and congressionally sound.
Constitutionally sound.
Constitutional, excuse me.
Yeah.
Ha, ha, ha. Merry Christmas.
Well, so how much time did you get with the bill? So he promised several times that you would not have a bill to vote on if you didn't have 72 hours to scrutinize it. How much time did you
Approximately 24 hours.
Right. And it's only the budget for the United States of America.
It goes to September the 2015, and in there are so many special interest perks that I couldn't even go through them today, because I don't know them all, to be honest with you. I do not know them all. We're trying to find out. But I would tell you this, and your listeners and viewers, that in this bill, Mr. Obama was very happy with this bill. He and Mr. Boehner talked after the bill passed, and I understand they congratulated each other. That was reported in Politica. Okay, Mr. Obama is getting more money for the Affordable Care Act in this bill. He's also getting money, millions of dollars, to take care of the 40,000 children who are in this country illegally. And he's also getting millions of dollars to give the school systems where they put the children So I assume that they can get interpreters so they can interpret what the teacher is saying in English to the student who's sitting there that doesn't understand English. It is absolutely, I said that this, I was quoted nationally that this was a screwing of the American people. And I don't even like that word.
Well, and now, the debt under this president has just gone exponential. You just
Absolutely.
handed me, this is frightening. Can I read these numbers?
Yeah, you can go start with
You just gave me this, and I had not seen this. This is actually from the Treasury Department's own figures
Right.
on their website. You can see it yourself. There's a graph here. Treasury Department, TreasuryDirect.gov. In the year 2000, I guess, is that the year Clinton left office?
Clinton left office, yeah.
Clinton
right.
left office in the year 2000.
Right. And our debt was $5.6 trillion.
The debt was 5.6 trillion. Under Bush, it raised another 3.6 trillion.
Right.
And then and of course,
6 years.
Bush was president for 8 years. President Obama. Now again, keep in mind, it was $5 trillion under Clinton, raised another $3.5 trillion under Bush. Since the 6 years that Obama has been there, another $8.5 trillion has been added to the national debt. We now stand at over $18 trillion that
Absolutely.
we owe in our debt. And when you think about that, you're like, well, maybe it's justified in some ways. As the United States, we can pay it back. But then you look at other countries and what they owe. We owe $18 trillion, and the United Kingdom, Great Britain, owes less than $450 billion.
Well, those are
I mean, there's some companies that own that much.
Well, the issue is these foreign countries, we owe them money, but there are many other entities that we owe money to. But these are the ones that are buying our debt that we actually owe them because they bought our debt. And
all the Middle Eastern countries together, $233 billion.
Right.
China, $1.1 trillion. Japan, just a little bit over $1 trillion. And the United States of America, $18 trillion. I mean, it's insane.
Henry, there is a collapse coming, whether it comes in the short term or the long term. This country is not doing one thing, and I blame both parties, and particularly when you get an example of $1.1 trillion. What we wanted to do, and we tried to get the leadership to do this, is to pass a continuing resolution until February 1 of 2015. Keep the government open, but not increase spending, but keep the government open for that period of time. And I don't know what type of mischief is in this bill. We're trying to find out, and other groups are analyzing the bill right now as we're talking, trying to figure out exactly how much mischief to the detriment of the taxpayers of this country is in this bill.
It's almost like Boehner has subscribed to the Pelosi philosophy, which we got to pass the bill to see what's in the bill.
Absolutely. I don't know how you can criticize, I'm talking about Mr. Boehner, the leadership, complain about Pelosi being, when she was Speaker. Of course, her bill's like 2,200 pages. I mean, 2,200 pages. This is about 1,620 pages. I mean, it just is not right to the American people who have to pay these taxes, has to pay for this spending, to not have their representatives have 3 days to read the bill.
Now, we've heard some of the rationale behind this. Of course, the Republicans are going to totally control Congress effective the first week of January. For the first time since Obama's been president, the Republicans will have both control of the House and the Senate. And one of the rationales is, we didn't want to shut the government down, create more bad publicity. We just wanted to get this done. But, once we get in there, we're going to start to fix this stuff.
Henry, we could have passed a continuing resolution.
Yeah.
Kept the government open with using last year's budget numbers till February 1. We have a new Senate and a new House, then got into the budget issues. For whatever reason, and again I say it's mischief, for whatever reason, our leadership did not want to put this bill off until February. They would rather fund the government through September 2015. And remember, we're going to have to raise the debt ceiling increase in 2015, meaning we're going to have to allow Mr. Obama to borrow more money from these countries that you've already mentioned and other entities to pay the bills for last year.
What's your theory on why Boehner acted the way that he did and shoved this thing through?
I think it's special interest influence. Yeah. I've been very outspoken, for years on your show. I don't know if you carry my interview with John Sarbanes that we need to look at other options of how we offer alternatives to run for public office, because what's happening now with millions and billions of dollars, you saw it in our Senate race down here with Tillis and Hagan. You saw the outside money spend $1.4 million against me. I mean, the people that are the money people are pushing the average person out of the process. And that bothers me greatly, because I see the dishonesty in Washington more now than ever before.
Do you? I know that Renee Elmers has been kind of on the hot seat, and Renee Elmers voted for this bill, and I know our friend Bill LeMay over in Raleigh just grilled her on it, and
I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, but
she's somewhat in the leadership, really. Like Virginia Fox.
What's the thinking when you talk to your colleagues, particularly the North Carolina delegation, on going along with something like this?
Well, Mark Meadows and I were the only two from North Carolina to vote against the bill. I voted against the rule. I was one of 16 to bring the rule down so we wouldn't get to this bill. And we lost by about 2 votes. That's the one they kept open for about an hour to change votes, and we had 3 members of the Republican Party. We were winning. Most of the Democrats had voted no, about 16 of the Republicans had voted no on the rule. The rule creates the parameters for the debate on the bill.
Yeah.
And we almost brought it down, but we didn't. But and I was the only one from North Carolina to vote no. In fact, Patrick McHenry came over while the vote was being held open, and he's in the whip organization, and he said, "Walter, can you help us out?" And I said, "Patrick, I am sick and tired of trying to destroy America."
I was going to say, did you say not no, but hell no?
Well, I was pretty firm, and I said, I'm not going to destroy America.
Yeah.
And I think this adds to destroying America, and this will help to increase the $18 trillion in debt, just add to the debt.
So as a result, I understand, I was talking to some of your staff in preparing for this interview yesterday, and I understand you have an announcement about your vote for Speaker of the House. You're going to make that public here?
Well, I've already said I cannot vote in good conscience for John Boehner. How can
you did vote for him last time, didn't
you?
No, you did not vote for him.
I voted for David Walker.
Yeah.
You call it David Walker is the former Comptroller General.
That's right,
of the
I remember that. Which, of course, led to you being stripped from some very important committees.
Well, I was stripped from the committee prior to that vote, and that was not an it's the system. We elect the leadership of the House. Mm-hmm. If this is the kind of leadership that you want, that will pass a 1,600-page bill, not let you read it, then vote for him.
Yeah.
I cannot do that in good conscience for the people of the 3rd District of North Carolina.
So you won't vote for Boehner in February. Who will you vote for?
January.
It will be January?
Yeah, the day we're sworn in is the day you vote for.
Which will be January 6th?
Yep.
Okay.
And right now I've been meeting with a small group, and we about 16, 18, and we're hoping to have a name of a sitting member of Congress that we can call out their name.
You pointed out to us last time around that the Speaker of the House does not have to be a sitting member of Congress,
No, it does not.
Which is how you voted for David Walker.
David Walker.
How's David Walker? David Walker, who is the Comptroller General, who I think is one of the smartest people, but no one listens to him except people like you. I mean, and here's a guy who ran the General Accounting Office for the United States of America, who keeps saying we're going to go to bankruptcy if we don't change our ways.
Henry, I don't think that anyone is going to fall behind what David Walker is saying until we all, as I say many times, are standing in the same bread line looking for bread and water. The rich are standing there and the poor, we're all standing there together. Yeah. You cannot, this nation is headed for collapse. Look at England, look at France, look at Spain, look at these other countries. At one time, they led the world in that period of their history.
Yeah.
They don't anymore. Mm-hmm. We're headed toward that decline, and I think it's already started here in America. I really do.
So it will be a sitting member of Congress this time that you vote for?
Well, I hope so.
And is there,
I could vote for you, Henry.
If elected, I will not serve. And if I were you, I wouldn't waste my vote. But But, it's like, I was talking to Brian Brown and some other members of the North Carolina legislature. Tim Moore is going to be here in town tonight, which is a great opportunity for people to come to meet him. He'll win the Speaker of the House, but there's always that possibility, even though he's been now elected unanimously by the Republican caucus, which really has a huge stronghold. I think like 77, 78 of the 120 members. But there's always a possibility of someone going and making a deal with the Democrats. And so, you're not 100% sure that you're going to win, even though you've won the caucus vote, until the actual vote is taken on the floor of the House. Do you see something like that as a possibility in Congress in January to take John Boehner out?
Well, Henry, since I was years ago in the General Assembly in North Carolina, and I was part of a group of 20 Democrats who cut an arrangement with the governor of the state, Jim Martin, and we did unseat the Speaker of the House. You got to organize it. We spent 6 months organizing that, and we kept it pretty secret until about the last 2 weeks.
Was that the Joe Mavretic coup?
Yeah, that was Joe Mavretic.
We've had Mavretic on the show talk about that before. Mavretic, so you guys were all meeting at the Holiday Inn?
We met around the state, so to speak.
In fact, I believe there was a defection in that group
that later became governor.
That had promised to be part of that group and then got a better offer and changed her vote at the last minute, won Beverly Perdue.
Well, in fairness to her, I don't think she told anyone that she was part of the group and what we were trying to do. But, she did on the day that we were supposed to vote for the Speaker of the House in Raleigh. She came to the breakfast and said, "I'm sorry, but I can't be with you."
Well, that was, but I will tell you this: it led to one of the best interviews I've ever conducted on this show with former Speaker of the House Joe Mavretic when Bev Perdue was governor of North Carolina, and he made the quote, and I quote, and you can find it online. He said, "Beverly Perdue is a person whose word you cannot trust," and he always felt that way about her because of that situation.
Right.
That. She backed out of the deal.
Joe has reason to say that. For me personally, though, Henry, if you vote for a speaker that you feel like is not a good leader for the House of Representatives, and knowing that his policies are not good for the district you represent, I don't know how in good conscience you can vote for.
Let me throw out a name: Trey Gowdy.
I don't think he is willing to challenge for it. I would, if he offered himself, I would support him. But
let me offer another name that might be willing to run for Speaker of the House. Walter Jones.
I wouldn't get any votes.
Oh, you'd get some, I think.
I truthfully, I have a couple of, we've met with one individual, and I'm not playing a game, but I'm not at liberty to say his name, that is seriously willing to let his name be offered, knowing that he probably cannot win. But we're going to have a conference call next week, the week after Christmas, with our little group to see where we are.
If you give me the name that this interview will be on Fox News Channel tonight, why don't you go ahead and help me become famous?
Well, because Henry, like you, I keep my word. And I swear I would not divulge the fact that this individual's even thinking about it.
Yeah. I'd be on Hannity tonight, though. You don't want to help me with that?
No, you would probably be on all the shows if I told you. But I would lose a friendship, and
well, I understand.
I can tell you after this bill is that's why we put the ribbon on it, Henry. It's a Grinch type gift to the American people.
There's no doubt. Well, thank you for what you do to fight this kind of nonsense, and good Lord, where's it going to lead us? Before we hang it up, let me ask you this question. Yesterday, a federal judge in Pennsylvania ruled that that President Obama has overstepped his authority and breached the separation of powers between the executive branch and the legislative branch of the government with his executive order on immigration. What's your comment on that?
I honestly believe that the president has overstepped his constitutional responsibilities. So, therefore, I'm glad to know there's a federal judge that also believes that the Constitution is important.
He's a Bush appointee.
Well, that's all right.
But you could almost see that getting some legs, couldn't you?
Well, you look at Roberts, what he did with the Affordable Care Act, and I think he was a Republican nominee also.
Right. So,
Henry, for me, why do we want to spend more of the taxpayers' money by going to the federal courts and trying to get the federal courts to say that he overstepped his constitutional authority? Why not use the Constitution?
Yeah.
The Constitution has in it a reason for impeachment.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to impeach a president, but by gosh, if we think that he has disavowed his constitutional responsibilities and his oath, that's why we have a Constitution. Nobody needs to know that anymore.
You know what, though? The whole impeachment thing, it just becomes such a political football ever since the Clinton impeachment that it's probably like, people don't want to mess with it. I mean, they just don't think it's going to go anywhere.
Well, then they shouldn't run for Congress.
Well, I know, but I mean, am I right about that?
If you let politics drive your policy decisions, then you have no reason to be in Congress.
Yeah.
Let the policy stand on its own legs. Policy should be passed because policy is good for the American people.
Yeah.
The Constitution is written so that we, as members of the House, when a president bypasses the Constitution, we can bring him before the Congress and the American people.
Yeah. We're out of time. It's great to see you.
Merry Christmas.
Are you home for the rest of the holidays?
Go back on the 6th, I believe.
Do we need to bring in 4 or 5 guys to take this Cromnibus bill back out to your?
I think you and Michael and I can carry it to the car.
I don't know. I'm not hurting my back. Good to see you, Congressman.
Thank you, my friend.
Good to see you. Merry Christmas to you and
Thank you.
Joanne and the whole family.